Good morning, everybody, and this is your S&P 500 day trade setups for today. So just starting off from the daily, we had a nice juicy pin bar on Thursday, and then we've had a hammer form on the Friday. So that hammer on Friday was kind of to be expected, in my opinion. It is Friday. Not many people would want to be holding their trades, and those that did get in early would have made a decent trade and basically be able to bank some profits. So if we look at this on the 3 hour, you'll see a few things in play. So you can see those that got in down here had one pullback, had a second stab up, and sort of late in the session Friday afternoon could have got out of that trade quite nicely. Now the exit point was basically this trend line, as you can see. So that trend line is still very much in play, and that's what we need to watch. We do have this gap here, and bear in mind it is a weekly gap, so probability of it closing in the week is fairly high, so you need to watch out for that. We are currently 207 points away from that gap, so it's not that massive in context to some of the movements that we've seen last week. But I think for me, if we look at this on the 3 hour, you can see a very strong move up, then a sort of a B, C correction, okay, and that is now taking us up for a second leg up. That second leg up is something like that. Okay, and if I come to the 8 hour, you'll see that gives us a new all-time high at 36.41. Okay, so that's kind of the view that I've got at the moment. It's still trade with a trend. Trend is up. Okay, if we look at it on the hour, we are a bit messy, which is typical of a consolidation. Let's delete that. So what's typical of consolidation, you can see we have below the moving average, above the moving average, below again, above, trying to hold it, above, failed to test it. Now we're sort of holding above it at the moment. Okay, moving average is also flat, which is indicating of a sort of a range at the moment. But I would expect us to more than likely break through these highs here and then move on up. Okay, so the big concern you have is this gap. That is your first problem. Now, the first target to the downside, if we do move to the downside, is not going to be the gap. It's going to be this area here. Okay, that's 34.78. You can see, look to the left, you can see the support and resistance at that level. Okay, so that's the first point. Then you'd have the gap. Okay, at the same time, we also have this big daily, or probably a weekly as well, 34.33. Let's just double check that on the weekly. 34.33 is a small weekly level. The bigger weekly level is obviously 3400 down the bottom here. Okay, so we've got quite a bit of support to the downside. Okay, quite far away, but we do have support to the downside. We've got sort of smaller levels in amongst the price at the moment. There's another one there. You can see all the tails there. See how we're holding it as support. More tails, more tails, more tails. So that's kind of the view there. And then we have this sort of diagonal head and shoulder. So there's the shoulder. Here's a big head, and here's a shoulder here. I'm not a fan of the diagonal head and shoulders. For me, this here, there's a head, shoulder, there's a head, there's a shoulder. That's kind of the closer head and shoulders as far as I'm concerned. I prefer horizontal support or resistance that needs to break. Okay, so for me, this trend line is the key to this at the moment. So you can see we've respected it 5-6 times. Okay, we did sort of get a close above it here. Now if I just fine tune that just a little bit, just to pick up those two fractals there, you'll see we've actually had a break above it. Okay, and if I take it a little bit further down, that was the first trend line which we'd broken, and we've basically come back to test that as well. So move it up to the next fractal. There it is there. We've had two breaks above it. We've had a break there and we've had a break here. Okay, so that is basically the level we need to pay attention to. And if I just do that, just line it up onto the next two there, you can see we've actually had a break above it already. Okay, so that being said, right now that's the level we need to break, which is 35.09. Break above it, come back to retest. That gives us the confirmation we need for the longs. At the moment, what we see happening here is typical of a Monday morning in an Asian session. We've gapped up, sort of finding support here at 34.89 and looking to build to the upside. So I'm going to wait for Europe, see what Europe does. But at the moment, I think long it is. The only concern I've got is this massive weekly gap that we've got in play at the moment. So that is going to be a magnet to the bears. We could also get a breakaway gap. My breakaway gaps are relatively rare on the weekly, but it is possible as well. So it just depends what noise comes through today and drives this market. But I'm definitely looking for longs. So we'll wait for Europe to see what happens. If this consolidation holds and we have an opportunity here at 34.89, so be it, we'll take it. First take profit area is going to be 35.09. I would expect a pullback onto some form of structure. I think we're doing this on a too low level at the moment, so I would expect a pullback. Let's just use this one here. Okay, so I'd expect a break above here, which is going to break a trend line. That's 3,500. I'd expect a pullback up to 3,500 and hold 3,500, and then that would start giving me opportunity to look for my longs. Okay, so that's kind of my view today. We could still get a pullback, and even if we do get a pullback back onto sort of that area there, you can see the structure here. That would be a buying opportunity. Even sort of at the gap would also be a buying opportunity. So that's kind of my view at the moment. But I do anticipate that this trend line is going to break. We're going to find some support and it's going to move back to the upside. So there's quite a bit of noise happening. China buying soybeans again. There was a little bit of noise around the stimulus package over the weekend, which they'll be voting on this week as well. And haven't seen any noise on the COVID situation with vaccines, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be more noise coming up for something like that as well. Okay, so anyway, politicians are in control. You just got to go with the flow at the moment, and that is trend is up. You're looking for a move up. You do start breaking through these highs. You're looking at the all-time high firstly. Okay, let's just get those levels in. There's a decent level there, you can see. And there's your level to the upside there. And you can probably just look for the underside of it, which is right here at 35.72. Okay, so that's the target area there. First target area is 35.72. Okay, anyway guys, that's it for me today. Pretty busy chart this morning. Hope it helps you, and we'll catch up with you later. Cheers for now.